Let's get into our morality with Motamedi segment. Lewis, everything okay over there? Yeah. Everything's good?
Doing okay.
Here is this week's morality with Motamedi segment. And this is going to deal, I'm telling you now, is dealing with abortion, and it's going to be probably very controversial for some people because they would disagree with this premise, right? But here's the question, and this is an audience-submitted one. If you knew a woman who was pregnant, who had 8 children already, 3 of whom were deaf, 2 were blind, 1 had mental retardation, and she has syphilis. The mother has syphilis. Mm-hmm. Would you strongly recommend and try to convince her to have an abortion? It's very early. It would not be a late-term abortion. It would be a completely legal early abortion. Would you proactively get involved and say, I really believe that this is a situation where you should get an abortion? And if so, what case would you make?
Well, what I would do is I would sit down and maybe have a 5-minute conversation and leave it at that. And just,
only 5 minutes.
And just state my opinion because, I mean, that's all I can really do. I'm not going to, stalk this person and try and get them to do what I think is right. But I would because, first of all, do you really need a 9th child? First of all.
Well, but is that your call to make?
No. This reminds me of something I want to talk about, but I mean, just for the sake of the child, if it's clear that the child is probably...
It's at risk.
Highly at risk.
Yeah.
And since I am not religious, since I don't believe that there is... what's the word? I don't want to say harm. I don't know. Since I don't think it's immoral to have an early abortion, I don't see the big deal. But this reminds me of, I was watching, I don't remember what show, it was a talk show, and this family had a daughter, right? And they brought this daughter out a few times, and the child started getting these freckles, right? And they weren't sure what was going on, but it turned out the daughter had that incredibly rare illness where you're basically allergic to sunlight.
Right.
And if this child were to be left in the sunlight for even, 10 minutes, it would probably kill the child. And she cannot be exposed to sunlight at all. And obviously this makes it very difficult to live. You can't have a normal life in this situation. And then they said that the doctor told them that any child they had would have a 50% chance of having this illness because of their rare gene combination. And they had another child. The child had the same problem.
Right.
And the talk show host didn't even think to say, well, why would you do that? Why would you have another child if this child is going to have such a horrible life? And it drove me crazy. I wanted to strangle these people. But it just didn't even come up. Clearly, there's a situation in which I would say the same thing.
Well, you know what this brings up? This brings up the question, if those who are pro-choice feel very strongly that the government should not be imposing their view on telling a woman what she can or cannot do with her body and her choices, at the same time, should you really be trying to convince her to do anything either, right?
But from my point of view, I wouldn't actively be trying to convince her to do anything. I would just state my opinion. I would say, listen, this child's at risk.
2 of your kids are blind.
Yeah.
1 is mentally retarded. 1 has you have syphilis. Mm-hmm. That may be the kid may be born with syphilis.
Right. And I would just say, I don't think you should have this child.
What about to people who say that any possibility of life is a gift and it doesn't matter, any life is better than no life, and that therefore this is even the 9th child, it's
I would say if you were a blind, deaf, and had syphilis, you wouldn't be saying that. That's what I would say.
Wow. What if somebody who was blind, deaf, and had syphilis was saying that?
Show me such a person.
All right. So there it is.
Well, they probably wouldn't be saying that if they were
No, they would
blind
be
and deaf.
signing it or something. I understand. Okay, let's take a break. Make sure to like the David Pakman Show on Facebook, facebook.com/David Pakman Show. It gets you 1 free entry to our iPad giveaway, which you can learn more about at davidpakman.com/iPad. We'll be back after this. Plenty more to come.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.